Welcome back. In today's recap, I'll be narrating the anime, Kotaro Lives Alone. Shortly after making his way to his new home of Shimizu Apartments, 4-year-old Kotaro who lives alone wastes no time and gets acquainted with his neighbor Shin, who is a manga artist. He knocks on his door to formally introduce himself before giving him a box of tissues as a token of goodwill. Shin asks the kid if he's staying alone, to which he confirms. He's initially confused that the kid was allowed to rent alone till he remembers that the landlords are money hungry. Later that evening, Shin directs Kotaro to a nearby bathhouse since their apartment doesn't have the facilities, but he accompanies him when he hears reports of children getting abducted in the news. On the way back, Shin starts to build an understanding of Kotaro's situation. He also notices that his speech pattern is that of the feudal lords of the past, which is odd. The following day, he accompanies Kotaro to the shop, but the kid is curious as to why he's following him. They run into Mizuki, also a tenant of their apartment block. Shin is surprised to see that such an attractive woman was staying in his building, as they have never met. She mistakes Shin as his dad. When she finds out it's not the case, she thanks Kotaro for the tissues again before leaving. As they walk through the shop, more people continue mistaking them as father and son. Shin gets scared when he finds out that Kotaro is 4 years old because he had relations with a woman around that time, but to his relief, Kotaro assures him that he looks nothing like his actual father. Soon after, Shin bumps into Mizuki at the apartment where they discuss Kotaro's situation. It is later revealed that Mizuki works at the hostess bar and seems to be in an unhappy relationship. The following day, Kotaro and Shin find her passed out in her room as they take out their rubbish. Kotaro quickly rushes to the convenience store to buy an iced drink for her to put on her eyes since she's been crying. The two adults are confused as how a child of his age knows this. He reveals that he has seen many adults cry in his lifetime. He's incredibly mature for his age. Later on, the final neighbor Isamu stops by to show his gratitude for the tissues, but Kotaro is not used to affection, so pushes him back. Isamu tries to give him a toy, but he rejects it because it was intended for Isamu's son, which he apologizes for. Kotaro requests to use Shin's TV to watch his favorite television show, since his TV has not yet been delivered. As they watch, Shin realizes that Kotaro's behaviors are modeled from the main character, suggesting that he didn't really get parental attention. Later that evening, they go to the bathhouse, but it's closed. The following day, Kotaro distances himself from Shin to his confusion. Mizuki picks up on this and alerts him that the kid probably has some kind of trauma related to being dirty, so thinks that if he's not perfect, people will hate him. Shin makes a promise to himself to take the kid to the bathhouse every day. Some time passes and Kotaro starts school, but he goes alone to his entrance ceremony since he doesn't have a guardian. Shin, Mizuki and Isamu rush to the school when they realize the situation. They all successfully watch him start to his delight. While playing outside one day, Kotaro notices a man giving out free balloons, but he is unable to get more than one, so he dresses up as different people to obtain more. After his shift, the balloon man sees Kotaro playing in the park with them, representing his estranged family. He watches on, hoping that the balloons last longer than usual. The following day, Shin picks up Kotaro from school, but they pass by editor Ippei's office. Kotaro tries to defend Shin when it seems his editor is being too harsh on him, but when Shin leaves the room, Ippei explains that he believes in Shin and he's only just trying to get the best out of him. So, on the way home, he advises Shin to work hard for his editor. The next day, he asks Isamu to accompany him to the clothes store as he wants to look cooler. While they shop, Isamu gets misjudged as a bad person because he's dressed like a yakuza, but Kotaro comes to his defense, which makes him happy. After his successful shopping trip, he later goes to the park with Mizuki on a picnic. Shin invites himself to their confusion, but since he came with ice cream, they let him stay. Kotaro gets it all over his face. Mizuki finds it cute, so tries to take a picture of him, but he refuses while she chases him around. As they walk back home, Shin asks him why he's photophobic, which triggers a traumatic flashback of his dad getting very angry at his school for including him in a picture they posted online. The next morning, Shin hands Kotaro a drawing he did of him and Mizuki, which he loves, but like his editor, he tells him it needs improvement, but nevertheless he loves it. It's weekly allowance day and Kobayashi is ordered to deliver the money to the toddler. It is revealed that Kotaro's mother has passed away, and it is her life insurance that is used for his upkeep, but Kobayashi is instructed not to let him know this. Instead, they tell him that the money is from a generous donor. Because of this, Kotaro always writes a weekly journal to be given to said donor. He also gives Kobayashi a gift as a thank you. He later goes to Kakeru, a classmate's house. Unlike him, he notices that his friend is not very independent, so a few days later he decides to take him crayfishing to make him change that. After they catch some fish, he shows him how to wash and cook it, which makes Kakeru more confident. His friend also notices he's alone in the house, so offers to come over whenever he feels lonely. Kotaro's 5th birthday finally comes around and the rest of the tenants are made aware, so they decide to celebrate his birthday. He alerts them that his kindergarten class already threw him a party. Mizuki explains that birthdays are a time to celebrate, but he finds it odd since it never occurred to him that being born was a good thing. This shocks the adults as they comprehend the meaning of that statement. In preparation to blow the cake candles, he does some breathing exercises to Shin's bewilderment. The day of the party arrives, but Kotaro takes the cake to his cat friends so that they can also enjoy. With the cake gone, the adults just sit there waiting for him. The following day, his other friend Takuya comes to his place and suggests that they run away since his mum nags him too much. But after spending the day with Kotaro and seeing his situation, he realizes how lucky he is, so Takuya rushes back home. Kotaro feels like there is no one to worry about him, so there is no use in running away, but he's proven wrong when Shin rushes in worried and scolds him for staying out late. One day Kotaro's school holds a PTA meeting, but the other parents have a bad opinion on Shin because of the way he carries himself. But they are all surprised when he volunteers to organize the upcoming summer festival since everyone else was reluctant. It ends up being a success as the kids enjoy the numerous activities on offer. Shin later accompanies Kotaro to the shop to buy some tissues. The shop assistant alerts him that his requested brand is in stock. The excited kid makes his way to buy some. Shin wonders why he buys the expensive ones, to which he explains that they are the sweetest with the best ingredients. He finds it strange but thinks nothing of it. Shin later works while watching TV when someone narrates that they used to eat tissues in their childhood due to neglect and poverty. It finally hits Shin that was what Kotaro was alluding to. When they make their next trip to the shop, he makes him buy normal tissues as he's not alone anymore, so doesn't have to eat them. Later that night, the adults join Kotaro for dinner as they laugh and enjoy his cooking together. One night, Kotaro meets up with Ryota, an older friend from his days at the children's home. Even though they have both moved from the home, they still remember their promise to meet up at the local hiking spot to view the Perseid meteor shower together. Kotaro gives him a camera he was not able to return before, but Ryota gives him the memory card so that he can keep the pictures of their time together. The old friends watch as the stars jet across the sky. A new day with a new tenant. Ota knocks on Kotaro's door to introduce himself. He will be staying temporarily for a business trip and claims that he needs a friend. Kotaro agrees and puts Shin on the bench while he does the majority of his activities with Ota. Shin and Isamu find his presence suspicious, so they confront him about his motives. Ota confesses that he was hired by Kotaro's dad to find him. Isamu goes to punch him, but Kotaro interferes. The kid is sharp and already knew why he was there, so he asks him if he's going to tell his dad of his location. Ota leaves, and for the next few days the adults protect Kotaro, thinking his dad is coming for him. Ota later comes back and explains to the adults that he gave the toddler's dad the wrong address. Since he too went through hard situations in his childhood, he can sympathize with the boy. Kotaro still sees him as a friend, so gives him a final going away present. One day Shin and Kotaro arrive home from school when they meet Mizuki entering her apartment with a nose mask on. The observant kid notices the bruise on her cheek and comments on it. Turns out that she ended her abusive relationship, but her boyfriend didn't take the news well. She's left with no other option but to move away before things escalate further. Kotaro wears a mask when they gather to say their final goodbyes so that no one can see him crying. Not long after, Sumire rents Mizuki's old room. She works in the corporate world but is not too fond of kids. She still tries her best to get along with Kotaro. They later realize that Kotaro is putting on weight, so Sumire volunteers to join him at school lunch, where it's revealed that he eats everyone's leftovers because he doesn't want the food to go to waste. As in his past, food wasn't always guaranteed. Kotaro is later visited by another old friend from the children's home named Tasuku. They hit it off right away. Soon after, Kobayashi notices that Kotaro is requesting a lot more money of late, so raises her concerns with Shin. He later confronts Tasuku, who discloses that he's going to move with Kotaro. Shin passes this information to Kobayashi, who does some investigation, which reveals that Tasuku is in debt and is likely using the money to pay it off. Turns out that Kotaro already suspected this but was giving the money to help him because at the home, he, Tasuku, and Ryota were best friends. Ryota later finds out what happened, so he gets Tasuku a job to pay back Kotaro and his debtors. One morning, Kotaro asks Shin the location of Konomi Station. He agrees to take him since it's far. When they get there, the kid makes his way to his grandparents' grave to pay his respects. While they do so, Shin notices that Kotaro's mother's grave is right next to theirs. The full gravity of Kotaro's situation hits him. The kid doesn't know that his mother has passed away yet, so Shin stands in front of her grave while he finishes paying his respects to his grandparents and talks to them about his life. Kotaro asks if he'll get to see his mother again. Shin answers yes, knowing that Kotaro might resent him one day, bringing the anime to an end. Thanks for watching.